For nearly 5,000 years, the burning sands of the Iraqi desert preserved the traces of the founders of the oldest known civilization, the Sumerians. Our world owes them everything. The Sumerians invented writing and the wheel. They divided time into seconds and minutes. They tamed nature and built gigantic cities. They fostered culture and the arts. Their caravans crossed the deserts, tracing the first trade routes. Their stories inspired our founding myths. The Bible has preserved part of their memory. They wrote the history of a humanity in its infancy. Before we start, we'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button. This will help us reach more people and create content for you. Now let's get started with today's video. For nearly 5 millennia, the arid sands of present-day Iraq concealed the remnants of the world's oldest known civilization, the Sumerians. Their legacy is both foundational and far-reaching, echoing in everything from the gears of modern machinery to the ticks of our clocks. The Sumerians were the torchbearers of civilization as we know it. They developed writing, constructed vast cities, cultivated agriculture on a massive scale, established trade networks, and fostered rich mythologies that likely inspired later biblical narratives. The name Mesopotamia, meaning land between the rivers, was coined by the ancient Greeks, describing the fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This region corresponds to much of modern-day Iraq and parts of Syria, Turkey, and Iran. It was here that human beings transitioned from nomadic lifestyles to settled urban living. It is no exaggeration to say that our world owes a tremendous debt to the achievements of the Sumerians and the civilizations that followed them in Mesopotamia, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. A cradle of civilization. Why here? The first and most fundamental question is, why did civilization begin in Mesopotamia? The answer lies in geography. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers were lifelines in an otherwise inhospitable environment. Originating from the snow-capped mountains of eastern Anatolia, modern-day Turkey and Armenia, these rivers flowed for thousands of kilometers before emptying into the Persian Gulf. As they meandered through the plains, they deposited nutrient-rich silt, creating an environment ideal for agriculture. This allowed ancient peoples to move beyond mere subsistence. They could produce surplus food, which in turn supported population growth, specialization of labor, the formation of governments, and the rise of cities. However, the rivers were both generous and dangerous. Their unpredictable floods could devastate entire communities. Learning to control water through irrigation canals, dikes, and reservoirs was crucial. This challenge fostered technological innovation and organized societies, particularly in southern Mesopotamia, where the Sumerians thrived. The Sumerians, founders of civilization. The Sumerians appeared in southern Mesopotamia around 4000 BCE. They are considered the inventors of writing, known as cuneiform, first inscribed on clay tablets with a stylus made from reed. Initially used for economic transactions, cuneiform evolved into a versatile script used for literature, law, astronomy, and epic poetry. Among the Sumerians' many innovations, the wheel, not just for transportation but for pottery. Sexagesimal system, dividing time into 60 minutes and 60 seconds. City-states like Ur, Uruk, Lagash, and Eridu, each with their own deity, ruler, and administrative structure. Ziggurats, massive step temples dedicated to the gods, prototypes of biblical towers like Babel. Legal codes, including precursors to Hammurabi's later laws. Their literature included the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known works of narrative fiction, which contains themes of creation, the flood, and the search for immortality, parallels to later biblical accounts. Echoes in the Bible, Eden, and Babel. Biblical texts reflect deep memories of Mesopotamian geography and myth. The Garden of Eden, described in Genesis, is said to be nourished by a river that branches into 4, Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and Euphrates. 2 of these, Tigris and Euphrates, are real rivers in Mesopotamia. Scholars have long debated whether Eden was a mythic ideal or a real place inspired by Mesopotamian terrain. Similarly, the story of the Tower of Babel, a city where people attempted to reach the heavens, echoes Mesopotamian ziggurats, pyramidal temples built to bridge heaven and earth. Babel, Babylon, means gate of the gods in Akkadian and the confusion of tongues in Genesis mirrors the multicultural complexity of Mesopotamian cities, especially Babylon. Archaeological rediscovery. Until the 19th century, our knowledge of Mesopotamia came largely from the Bible and Greek historians like Herodotus and Polybius. The ruins of Mesopotamian cities lay buried under centuries of dust. Then came the age of archaeology. In the mid-1800s, European explorers, especially French and British, began excavating sites like Nineveh, Ur, and Nippur. Their discoveries were staggering. Enormous palaces and ziggurats. Thousands of cuneiform tablets. The library of Ashurbanipal, containing epic texts and scientific treatises. The standard of Ur, showing scenes of war and peace in intricate mosaic. These finds revolutionized our understanding of history. They proved that a rich, literate, and highly developed culture had existed millennia before Greece or Rome. Urbanization and trade. Sumerian cities were economic hubs, linked by trade routes that crisscrossed deserts and rivers. The rivers were crucial, not only for agriculture but also for transportation. Boats transported grain, textiles, and pottery in exchange for resources that Mesopotamia lacked, such as wood from Lebanon, copper from Oman, tin from Iran, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan. These trade networks represent the first global economy, sustained by merchant caravans and contracts. Many Sumerian tablets are not epics or prayers, but ledgers, inventories, and receipts, attesting to a thriving commercial civilization. Cultural continuity and collapse. By 2000 BCE, the Sumerians had been absorbed into the Akkadian and later Babylonian empires, but their legacy endured. The Akkadian language replaced Sumerian in daily life, but Sumerian remained a sacred language, like Latin in medieval Europe. The reasons for the Sumerian civilization's decline are complex. Environmental degradation. Over-irrigation caused salinization of the soil. Invasion by nomadic tribes like the Amorites and later the Elamites. Internal political fragmentation and infighting among city-states. Yet their intellectual and spiritual influence persisted for centuries. Legacy and everyday echoes. Despite the passage of time, echoes of Sumerian culture remain in the daily lives of people in Iraq and beyond. In the souks of Baghdad, fruit stands brim with produce like pomegranates and dates, known since Sumerian times. Clay jars filled with cool water use the same evaporative cooling methods first employed by the Sumerians. Traditional flatbreads made by Kurdish families in the highlands resemble those that once sustained early agriculturalists in Anatolia, the very region from which the wild wheat spelt was first domesticated. Even the rhythms of commerce, family, and ritual in modern Mesopotamia reflect ancient patterns. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. Thank you.